Hello Star Citizens and welcome to another video. This one is going to be all about my fleet. So there have been some massive changes to my fleet. If you watched the other video, you probably could have figured out a few of the changes, but there's some that might surprise you, especially if you've been watching my videos for a long time. As always, we're still doing our ship contest, so we are giving away an MPUV tractor. All you got to do is like, dislike, comment on the video, and make sure you're subscribed and you will be entered to win that. Just make sure you come back on the 31st and watch our giveaway video to make sure you can claim that within the 2 weeks that are necessary for you to win. So now let's get into this fleet video. I'm so excited. So you already know I saved a bunch of money on my fleet. I think it's north of $2,000. So if you haven't watched that video and you watch this one, there you go. There's the amount that I saved. But yeah, so I've been building up my CCUs for about 4 years. I've been playing for about 8 years at this point. You know, I want to say mid 2016 is when I hopped on the train for Star Citizen. But I didn't start really doing CCUs until like 2019 or so. So yeah, so I've been saving CCUs. I've saved about $2,000 on the game. And I'll reveal how much I've paid for the game somewhere in here in the middle of the video. That way that amount will finally be out in the wilderness. But yeah, I'll reveal that in the middle somewhere. So it's not gonna put it at the end because then you just skip to the end, but I'll put it somewhere in there. But yeah, I've spent a lot of money on the game, suffice it to say. So I'm ready to finally, you know, let all the skeletons out of the closet. And mainly because every time I hit another 1,000 subscribers, I want to do like a kind of fleet thing and just show you where my fleet is and also what I spend money on. So you know that when I'm telling you about these ship reviews, that I don't just walk it, I talk it. Or wait, I said that backwards. I don't just talk it, I walk it. Yeah. I should edit that out, but I'm not because I like it. That's real. That's raw. I'm a flawed individual. Anyway, yeah. So I spend money on the game. I'm not just out here telling people to buy ships that I don't own or telling people that, you know, I think this ship is great and I don't even spend my own money on it. So for the most part, you know, I am building a fleet, so I don't own every ship that I gave like a 9 or a 10 to, obviously, because they don't all fit my play style. So you should of course buy what fits your play style. But most of the ships that I've given high ratings I own. And yeah, so you know, I put my money where my mouth is. And another part of this is I think I finally, you know, there's this mountain I think every Star Citizen player climbs, and at some point you think that you're never going to reach the top, but I think I am at my mountaintop as far as ships. Now, the Ironclad changed some things for me, and the Ursa changed some things for me. You know, I think unless there's some game changers, I'm pretty much done with my fleet. This is pretty much all I'll have. Now, obviously, if new ships come out, I might have to rethink my fleet, but I think I'm at a point now where I don't have to spend any new money on the game. And maybe to get like a few war bonds or something, you know, like $100 here. But that shouldn't be like a major thing for me anymore. I mostly will be able to just melt the ship and then, you know, purchase whatever ship, you know, I need in the future if some new stuff comes out that changes the game. So before I start with this, let me just say this is going to be a 2-part video. So the first part will end somewhere around the middle because these videos are normally super long. So it should be somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. And then the next one will be between 30 and 45 minutes. So make sure you watch part 2. Don't just watch part 1 because I don't know if the part where I say how much money I spent on the game is going to be in part 1 or part 2. I don't know. There's no script for these things. I just go. But yeah, I think I've reached the mountaintop for how much money I'm going to spend on the game. I thought it would be more, to be completely honest with you, but I'll talk through my ships and you'll start to understand why I spent as much money as I have and why I don't really think I need to spend any more. But yeah, it's like famous last words, right? I'm done buying ships. I'm laughing as I say it, so I know you're laughing. You know, but I'm laughing too. But I really do think for once that I've actually got there. You know, I've applied so many CCUs. You know, I've even, you know, sent some CCUs back to the pile. So here it is. So the Cyclone MT, that's my first ship. That's the one that I own, but I only own it because it's in a pack. However, I do think it's a really good ship or a really good vehicle. My thing is, I got it with the Fortuna pack, and it doesn't have a Fortuna skin. So I'm a little mad that they haven't given it a Fortuna skin yet. I'm hoping by next year they do that, because why was it in my pack? I assume because it's already green, they were like, oh, it doesn't need a Fortuna skin. No, it does, because the Fortuna green is a lot different. So please give me my Fortuna skin if you're going to give me this MT. Now, I do like the MT. I like it because it has those missiles, and it has a gun, and it's really tiny, and it's still pretty much as fast as all the other Cyclones. And it has a third, you can carry a third passenger on the back that can be manning that gun. So I just really want to solidify that the Cyclone MT is probably the best Cyclone there is outside of just the base model. Now, would I spend 75 bucks on it? Absolutely not. But, you know, if you get a pack that has one in it, I don't think it's a ship that you should, you know, laugh at, so to speak. But yeah, I'll be using this thing, even though I only got it as a pack thing. I'll still end up using it. I don't have any interest in upgrading my ships that have 6-month insurance or anything. So all those ships that I got in that pack are gonna pretty much stay. So let's move on. Another one that I got in the pack. So let me move this out of the way. Oh, don't want to mess it up. So yeah, so Ursa Rover Fortuna. Now, I actually did want this, but I really only wanted it for the skin, and I don't know if you can switch the skin off of it, but I would actually love to put my Ursa Rover Fortuna skin onto my Nursa. So if I can do that, that'll be great, and I'm pretty sure I will be able to do that in the game. So I'll be driving around an Ursa Rover Fortuna Medevac, which I think is going to be a pretty rare combination of skin to ship. But I think the Ursa Rover, I mean, it's probably the best vehicle in the game. It's between the Cyclone and the Rover for best. But I didn't purchase this. Well, I did purchase it, but it came in a pack just like the Cyclone MT. It came in the same pack. So that Fortuna pack is how I got this. But I do think it's a worthy ship to have in your fleet. The Lynx. Okay, so the Lynx is a little different. All right, so the Lynx is one of those ships that the Lynx is one of those ships, or not ships. It's one of those vehicles that I got because I own another vehicle. So you get a Lynx if you own a certain vehicle. Or a certain ship, you get a Lynx automatically with it. So it's not a vehicle that I could say I believe in, but I have found a use for it. And I'll talk about the use case for the Lynx later when I talk about the ship that I got it with. Some of you will already know what that ship is, but I don't want to ruin the surprise for people who don't know. But the Lynx essentially is the same thing as the Ursa Rover, but you can see it has like windows and stuff in it, and basically it has 2 seats for VIPs to sit back there and just chill, whereas this one has more like the jump seat idea where, you know, you could fit people back there, and this one's more rough and stuff like that. They both have guns and stuff, but the Lynx, I hope the Lynx just ends up being a little faster, because I would think that, you know, if I'm giving up the seats and stuff, and obviously it's a VIP transport, this is meant more for VIP transport, and to me it looks a little better than the regular Rover, but yeah, I just hope it gets a little bit of a speed boost. Maybe it does worse off-road, but I just hope it gets a little bit of a speed boost to make it a little bit more worth it. But I didn't pay for it. Technically, it came with a ship that I own, so I don't really mind too much. But when I think about doing like VIP transport missions, I think about how are you going to get them to and from the ships if like they want to go somewhere that's not like in a base. Like if obviously I go to a city or a town, I just drop them off and they, you know, they go off into the spaceport or whatever. But if they want to go to like see a cave or something, you're gonna have to transport them from the spaceship to the cave or something. Like even if you land right next to it, you know, they're still gonna have to get out, right? And what if there's harsh conditions? Like you just want your VIPs to just step out. Now, yeah, sure, maybe they should have brought some like gear with them or something, but the idea is that, you know, either way you look at it, you're going to have to do some type of, you know, vehicle transportation for them. And, you know, this is part of the reason why I'm not mad that I have a Lynx, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything either, because I do think this is a part of the VIP transportation experience that people are missing. All right, let me take a look at where we're going to stop here. Let's see. Just to make sure that this video does stop at the halfway mark. All right, I know where I'm going to stop. All right, so let's move on. You probably already saw this one, but it's a G12. Now, this is another vehicle that I did not purchase. It came with another vehicle it came with another ship that I own. Now, this is actually my favorite buggy. I just love the way it looks. A lot of people don't like the way this looks, but I really like it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm starting to believe that I'm like a low-key Origin fanboy, because I just love all the way their ships look, except I don't like the colors. So I'm not a huge fan of just the white on black aesthetic. So I plan on changing every single color, but I do like the overall look of this one. And I'm hoping, and I think they said it somewhere, that the G12 will be the fastest of the rovers, of these like larger vehicles that are like this. So if we look back here, it's a little bit smaller than the Fortuna, and it's a little bit bigger than the Cyclone. So it should be between those two in speed, maybe closer to the Cyclone than it is to the Ursa, because it's Origin, so they high quality, you know, so to speak. But yeah, I plan on keeping this as well, because I don't know if this will qualify as a luxury ground vehicle. But even if it doesn't, it'll at least be faster than it'll be faster than an Ursa, but it'll be, you know, slower than a Cyclone most likely. So it'll be like my, you know, I want to go out, but, you know, the Ursa rover's too slow, but the Cyclone's not covered. So I'll need something to bridge the gap. And I didn't pay for it. So again, it's not like I'm wasting any money. This came with another ship that I own. And of course, I'll talk about it more when I get to that ship. All right, let's keep it moving. Keep the train moving. All right, the first ship on this list that I actually paid for. So I've been singing the praises of this thing since it was announced. I think it's the one vehicle that if you're going to pay money for, it should be the Ursa Medivac. This single-handedly, by itself, changes the game. Well, technically not by itself. It's also a change in the game mechanics. If the change in the game mechanics did not happen, I would not be singing the praises of this so much. But it did happen. So now you can bedlog from ships, or you can bedlog and respawn from medical beds. So I mean, this has a medical bed in it, and it's $60, and you could get it for $50 if you buy it Warbond. I bought mine Warbond. So I'm just saying, I saved what, 20% on the cost of it, buying it Warbond. But I did give CIG money, so it is what it is. But I mean, you don't have to buy Warbond, buy it with store credit, or you know, buy it in the game. But for me, I think in honor of the fact that it changes the game so much, I had to buy it and spend money on it. And I gave a long soliloquy on it already, so I'm not going to keep talking about it. You know, I just think there's very few ships where I'll break my rules of how to spend money in the game. And you know, I know it's probably the smarter thing to do is to buy it in game, but no, the Ursa Medivac means something to me, so I want my LTI on it. It's not a ship that you know, even though I could just probably go and buy one for super cheap, I still want to own one. Like, I want it to be mine. But yeah, the way it changes the game, basically every ship that can fit an Ursa Medivac inside of its hangar or its storage area can now bedlog and act as a respawn point. And basically it turns it into a medical ship. Like, you can do medical gameplay in that ship. And one of my biggest things that I've been saying to CIG is that I think more ships should have beds, like medical beds, even if they're just tier 3. And this basically solves that. You know, if your ship can fit an Ursa in it, it can now have a bed. And so that's drastically changed what I've thought about my fleet and the ships that I wanted to own. Now that I know that I could just pop one of these in it, and now it has a medical bed, which that was something that turned me off to a lot of ships. So let's keep going, and you'll see why this new fleet video was necessary as we go through and talk about them. P72 Archimedes Emerald. So this is my favorite ship that I didn't mean to purchase, but I'm so glad that I did. Technically, I didn't purchase it at all because this is one of the ships that came with, you know, the pack that I bought the same way as the Ursa Fortuna and the Cyclone MT. But it is the best. It is right now it's the fastest as of 3.2, 3.1. It is the fastest, single fastest ship in the game. The P72 Archimedes Emerald, and it has 4 weapons on it. I don't know if they come with ballistics standard, but either way, you switch those out, put ballistics on this thing, and it is a beast. Now, it doesn't have a quantum drive, so it can't go fast. It can go fast. It can't go quantum. So this is obviously a ship that you pop in the back of something and then you go. I normally would put it in the back of a Corsair or something like that, or put it in the back of something that can't really fight that well and pop it out. Like maybe I might put it in the back of like an MSR or something like that. If you think that you might have a fight on your hands, and then pop open the back of the MSR, take this out, handle your business, and move along, right? Assuming you have more than one person, right, you can fight with the MSR and then send somebody out with the P72. I think if it fits in there, I'm not even 100% sure if it fits in the MSR, but I'm just giving you that as an example. For me, I love the Archimedes because it's what I like to do. When I think of dogfighting, the Archimedes is what I like to do. I like to zip around to the point where you can't find me. I'm so small you can't see me. And then I have enough firepower to do some damage. Now, if I get hit, I'm done for because this thing has barely any hull HP. But that's the idea, is like, I think the overall idea of the snub fighter is to not get hit. It's to just do as much damage and keep it moving. So you got to be a good pilot. And that's what I love about the P72. It is superior to the P52 in every way. So there you have it. All right, now this is, my little baby boy. So the F7A Hornet Mark II. Now, I got one of these obviously doing the Overdrive Initiative, and I'm sure a lot of you did the Overdrive Initiative, and I bet some of you are probably wondering if it's still going to be worth it once the other series come out, the Mark II series. Now that we know that we're getting all of the Mark IIs, we're getting the Ghost, and we're getting the Tracker, and we're getting the Super Hornet, right? What I want to tell you is that CIG knows that it's going to have to balance this, right? They know that the F7A is going to be the most rare one of the Mark IIs, so they're going to balance it. So whatever you look at the stats now and think, that's going to change, right? So it's going to drastically change, and I don't want you to make your decisions about this based on what you think is going to happen in the future, as far as like some ships being better, right? Because it's going to end up being balanced. The F7A was always supposed to be the best fighter of the Hornets, so I don't think that this is going to be outclassed by something like a Super Hornet or something. Maybe, on par, because the Super Hornet does have the 2 pilot requirement. But I don't think it'll be outclassed by it. So I think it'll be this one, then it'll be the Super Hornet just below, and then it'll be like the other ones have their own unique roles, right? So the Heartseeker and all that, right? So I'm keeping this. I normally don't buy fighters, but anytime I made this deal with myself that anytime there was something rare to get in the game, that I would get that thing. And so like I said, when I say I'm done buying spaceships, right? Like if I'm in the future, if anything super rare comes up, maybe, they do like another Saber Raven giveaway or something at CitizenCon. I might get those types of things, but I'm only getting them because they're rare, not, you know, not for any other thing, because I missed the boat on so many things that were rare just because I didn't understand Star Citizen as much as I do now. But yeah, so yeah, I got it mostly because it's rare, but also it fits my new thing that I'm doing in the game, where I want one ship for every part of the game that I intend to spend any significant amount of time in. So now I have my snub ship, I have my medium fighter in the F7A, which I do think this is going to end up being the best medium fighter when it's all said and done. And yeah, I plan on keeping this one in the fleet. Pretty much everything I have in here is my final ship for the game. So the Saber Firebird. Now, I actually replaced my Razor EX with this. So if you know, from my last video, I had a Razor EX, and a lot of people were like, what, a Razor EX to fight with? What, you're crazy. And I got it because of the stealth, because I do want a stealth fighter. Now, the thing that I used the Razor EX for was really, it was chasing around F8 pilots, because F8s are so damn fast that it's hard to like catch up with them and actually engage them in a straight line, right? So, and they can outrun so many other ships, right? But now 323, the F8's speed has went down a little bit, so it's not as hard to catch. That's part one. But also, I wanted the Razor EX because it was stealthy. It has like minus 40% or minus 20% stealth. It's got a lot of stealth to it, right? And the Saber now has minus 40%. So I don't know if that's the same as the X or more, but either way, it's stealthy. And that's what I really wanted from the Razor EX. And I like the way the Razor EX looked as well. I really did like that kind of like F1, you know, ship look. And I also like that the Razor EX doubled as a racer ship. But then I realized I don't really need a Razor EX. I did like that. I like that it had a quantum drive, and like my P72 does not have a quantum drive, so I could take it more places. But then I thought about the amount of fuel that it would have, so it really wouldn't make sense to even engage that quantum drive unless I'm going from like moon to planet or something like that, or planet to moon. But other than that, I wouldn't take it anywhere else. So I figured I don't really need that quantum drive part of that. I'd rather fly the P72 after taking it somewhere, or go and get something a little bit, you know, more stylish to me. Like, I love the way the Firebird looks. I've always wanted a Saber Raven. I don't own one. And now that I know I probably never will, this was probably the next best thing. But it turns out I actually like this better than the Saber Raven. Like, from looking at the Saber Raven and knowing what the Saber Raven can do, I like this better. So I'm glad that they came out with it. There's going to be another Saber that comes out, and I'll do the comparison, but I don't think that other one will be stealth, so it's probably not going to be able to fill this role. But yeah, now mind you, this got a buff after it came out. So originally, this ship had 12 missiles, and I think it was negative 20% to stealth, meaning that it reduces your signatures and stuff by 20%. Now it's negative 40%, meaning it reduces all your signatures by 40%. And they doubled the missiles, so now it has 24 missiles, right? So you have like 2 volleys of missiles that you can fire on this thing. So you sneak up on people, you send crap load of missiles at them, and by the time they detect you, and by the time they see that the missiles are launched at you, they're blowing up all they're hitting chaff and all their stuff. And then by the time they figure out what's happening, you already sent the next volley of 12 at them, so you're probably going to blow them up with that second volley. So it's, to me, I think it's a really cool way. Or you could do 6, 6, 6, 6, and you could just keep sending volleys of 6 at them, or volleys of 3, whatever you think is right. But I think the amount of missiles you can fire at a target, and most likely kill them, right? Because again, the idea is you catch them by surprise. You stay outside of that range where they can detect you, and then you like fly in, shoot your missiles, you know, and it's just like a barrage of missiles that are coming at them, and you just like overwhelm the opponent. I also think it has a crazy cool skin. I think it's called the Ash Cloud or something. That skin is incredible. I think this is one of the best looking ships in the game, and I am so super excited to fly it. But yeah, that's my stealth ship, my stealth fighter. So I have a so far I have a snub fighter, which I'm counting as like my small fighter, and then I have a medium fighter, and this is or we could count one of these, depends. Like you could say that the Hornet is my small to medium fighter, and the Archimedes is my snub to small, because I didn't really fill the small. The small would have been filled by the Razor EX technically. But I just feel like this fits the need better. It's almost as fast as that, and again, same amount of stealth. So that's what it is. All right, my Vulcan. So this is one of the ships that I technically don't own because I accidentally applied a CCU incorrectly. So I own it. I own like CCUs up to like right before this. And I'm a little upset about that because the sale ended and I didn't realize it until after my CCU was already like misapplied. But it's all good. I don't think the Vulcan's gonna go up in price, so it's not like I have to lock it down. But I have like it's a $200 ship, and I have like $185 worth of CCU, so it's just $15 to get the Vulcan. But yes, this will be one of my final ships. This is my daily driver, and that surprised a lot of people when I say that, considering the other ships I have. But it can repair itself, it can refuel itself, and it's built to rearm, and it's got a little space for a vehicle in the back. I'm not quite sure what it'll be able to fit when it's all said and done, but I think I don't think it'll be able to fit like an Ursa, but I do think it'll either be able to fit an STV. It'll definitely be able to fit a Fury, or not a Fury, a Pulse, which means I'll be able to take a little vehicle in it with me. And that's really all I need is a little vehicle. I could take a little vehicle with me. I could carry a little bit of cargo. And yeah, this will be the ship that I just take everywhere with me. And if I just don't know which ship to grab, I'll be hopping in my Vulcan and taking that wherever. So I also think it's the only advanced starter ship that I think should be an end game ship as well. Like the Vulcan, I've sung its praises before. I think the ability to repair, refuel, and rearm, it makes this one of the most versatile ships in the game. It can carry a small amount of cargo, but just enough to where you can carry a little bit of cargo and a pulse now. So I just think this is going to be one of those ships that people aren't going to have, and they're going to be like, man, I should have bought one of those. I think those things are really cool. And yeah, so it's my daily driver. All right, the Railen. So the Railen is the ship that I fell in love with, and I probably shouldn't own. But I do have a reason for owning it, right? So I was big on this MSR versus 400i thing. I made a video about it. I think the 400i is the better ship in atmosphere, which is why I think the 400i is the better of the MSR. But now that you can get a Nursa and the MSR can fit a Nursa, I think that's the better ship, especially because it has that tractor beam, or not because it has a tractor beam, especially because it has that whole area in the back to where you can fit a Nursa and you can fit a little bit of cargo. I'm not 100% sure how much cargo you can fit, but you could still carry some stuff around in there, right? So yeah, I think those two are the main ones where I'm like, these are the ships you own for cargo. But then I was like, well, those are not necessarily blockade runners like this one is. And that's what I really need when I think about my cargo ships, right? When I do cargo, I don't see myself doing the traditional type of cargo where I just put a bunch of potatoes in a box and then take them from point A to point B. I want to do some cool cargo stuff like fast missions, or where the cargo is volatile, stuff like that. I think that's going to be the fun type of cargo for me. And when I looked at the Railen, I love the way it looks. It reminds me of the Sulian. They're both made by Gattac. And I love the way this ship looks. I love that it's like a little mini transformer. I love that it's you know, different and unique. And I don't own a lot of alien ships, so I thought this was a really cool opportunity for me to get an alien ship. And it's supposed to be fast. I'm not sure if it'll be as fast as like the MSR or the 400i, but if the Sulian is any, you know, design example, then my guess is it will be. And I think we're gonna see this next month. I think for June is going to be the reveal of the Railen. Either they'll give us a massive update on it, or it'll be released next month. That's what my guess is. So I'm glad that I have one and I'm ready for it. It's one of the coolest looking ships in the game, if you ask me. All right, now my Constellation Phoenix Emerald. I think this is one of the best looking skins in the game, if not the single best looking skin in the game. And the only way to get it is if you buy a Constellation Phoenix Emerald, and the only way to get that was to buy a pack, which now I have a Cyclone MT, I have a Lynx, I have a Ursa Rover Fortuna, and I have a P72 Archimedes Emerald. So that's how I got all those ships, because I wanted to get this. This was the main prize. And yes, it's $350 skin basically. But I also, you know, before I bought it, I really did some searching around to see like, okay, would I actually be interested? Because I really didn't have an interest in luxury gameplay. But I was like, you know, I wouldn't mind having a Constellation. Because I think the Constellation is an underappreciated ship, and once I realized that it was an underappreciated ship, I wanted to own one. But the only one I was really interested in was the Phoenix, and I didn't want to get the regular Phoenix because I wanted something rare. Like I said, I'm on this thing where I'm trying to collect rare things, right? And I think the Constellation Phoenix is going to be one of those ships where people are like, whoa, where'd you get that skin? How'd you get that color? And you know, I hope that there's going to be like, you know, extra pay, you know, in the future for people who like have a certain color skin or something like that. I think that would be really cool for like VIP travel. But yeah, so you know, this is my luxury ship. I really mainly intend to do VIP transport, or like when I hang out with friends on the game, I'll probably take this ship, you know, to meetups and stuff like that, just because it's I think it's one of those types of ships. And this will be like my little apartment in the sky. So if I know I'm going on a long trip and I'm gonna need like the basic amenities and stuff, this is the ship that I'll take. Also, it's got some amazing firepower on this thing, especially considering, you know, it's supposed to be like this luxury ship. So yeah, if you don't take the Lynx with you, which comes with it, you can just put a bunch of cargo down there. And it could be like a little mini cargo ship. You know, I think it's a pretty good all-arounder, you know, even though it's meant to be a VIP ship, and that's what I primarily will use it for. And the reason I talked about the Lynx, right, is because I plan on taking the Lynx, right, and doing most of my like VIP explorer missions and stuff like that with this, where they'll have the little bathroom, and then they'll have like the bar and everything. And that's why I think I'll do my VIP missions and luxury missions with this. So this kind of just opens up that gameplay for me. I'm not 100% interested in it, but I do have a Mercury Starliner, so I figured it would make sense to, if I'm gonna do people transporting anyway, it would make sense to have a luxury option. So, you know, when people are like, oh, you know, I don't want to fly in a Starliner, I want to fly in something else, then I could be like, hey, I got an Emerald, right? And maybe people pay more for that or not, you know, we'll see. All right, the Crucible. If I was talking to the info runners, they'd say the cult of the Crucible. So the Crucible to me is one of those ships that a lot of people don't own, that I think that they're going to wish they owned. It's going to be, as far as we know now, it's the repair capital, but it doesn't seem to be that big, so we know it's going to have to grow if it's going to be a capital. But you know, the bay here can detach, the arms can spread out and articulate, the circular part here can spin around. So, you know, this is going to be able to repair anything from tiny little vehicles all the way up to capital ships. It can repair itself to some capacity. It'll be able to do a little bit of refueling. So I think this ship is going to be, it's your space garage, right? And one of the things I noticed, and I'm so glad that the Ironclad came out, because the Ironclad shows how good of a ship this is going to be. Because the Ironclad has basically, you see this little garage here, the Ironclad has that. And it can fit, what, 1,500 plus SCU in there, right? And we're already talking about using it as kind of a pocket carrier or something like that, right? So this thing will be able to fit that same amount. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to stick cargo down in this garage area, but I could see them making that, you know, a cargo, you know, platform where you can put cargo down on the bottom of this thing, and maybe it carries like 600 or 700 SCU worth of cargo when it's not being used as, you know, a mobile garage. So I can see that. But yeah, I just think repair is going to be an underappreciated role in the game, and I look forward to using the Crucible on all you folks who didn't buy one. And the Galaxy. So anytime you buy a Galaxy, it's best to talk about why you got the Galaxy specifically as far as the modules, right? So there's a refinery module, there's going to be a construction module, there's going to be a medical module, and then a cargo module. I didn't buy any of the modules. I plan on buying all of those in game. So which modules will I use then? I will use most likely a mixture of the construction module, the refinery module, and the medical module. Now I plan on this being specifically my medical ship. So I plan on mostly using this for medical gameplay. Now, people might ask, well, why did you choose this over the like Apollo Medevac, which is a more dedicated role? It's smaller, you know. I think this will be the better. I think I plan on dedicating this to the medical role, but I also don't know if I'm going to like the gameplay enough to dedicate a whole ship to it. So I am going to be doing a lot of construction in the game. So for me, I was thinking, like, because I'm going to be doing a lot of construction in the game, it would make more sense for me to own a ship that can do medical. And then if I don't like medical gameplay, I could just turn this into a construction ship and then take this on jobs where I don't feel like taking my larger construction ship with me to do those jobs. So I like the versatility there. Also, if nothing else, maybe I don't like medical gameplay, but I do end up preferring to take my larger construction ship places, then I'll just switch this and do the refinery thing with it, because the refinery is going to be an interesting part of the game as well. But I have another ship that can do refinery, but we just don't know how that refinery is going to work, so we'll see. But yeah, that's my Galaxy. It's mainly going to be a medical Galaxy. I plan on using it as like a mobile hospital, like mobile mini hospital, and we'll see if they allow you to like use drones or whatever, you know, or whether it'll have to be like people drop themselves off in it, or whatever it is. But I plan on putting mostly tier 1s and tier 2s in here, no tier 3s, as many tier 1s and tier 2s as I can. I remember there being a thing that you can choose which ones you want, but it'll be tier 1s and tier 2s in here, as many as I can fit. So yeah, I plan on just treating the serious injuries, because I think now that we have the Ursa Medivac, tier 3s are not going to be useful, because most people will have access to a tier 3. I think the tier 2s and tier 1s are the ones that you're going to need. So yeah, even tier 2s I might not get. I might just get all tier 1s just because I want to be able to treat as many people as possible. And even if it's only 3 tier 1 beds in here, I think that's enough. I think that would be really cool. But I can't remember how many you can fit in there. So you know, somebody let me know in the comments, or maybe I'll put it down there myself once I look it up after the video. But yeah, that's part 1. Make sure you stick around for part 2. Part 2 will be coming shortly after this one, but I just wanted to cut these videos up because they can get really long, especially when you're talking about your fleet. So yeah, stick around for part 2. And yeah, I guess I'll be saving that how much money I made or spent or whatever on the game for that one, because I forgot I was already at the end. So I should have put it somewhere in the middle there. All right, so yeah, see you in the next one. Peace.